As you can see, we are now in the corner, and I did this because I want this giant Spider-Man picture to be here. So yeah, hopefully maybe this will change a little bit more, but yeah, corner of the room feels good, feels right. Let's do this comic review. What is going on, guys? Welcome to this video. My name is Cameron and this is the review for Ultimate Spider-Man issue 94 with the finale to the Deadpool saga on Krakoa Island with the X-Men. I still hope I'm saying that name right, but yeah. Now, before we get into this review, I just want to let you guys know that I have uploaded a second video to my second YouTube channel. The link is in the description. You can probably click one of them cardy things up here as well if you want to do that as well. So yeah, check it out. Let me know what you guys think of it. Leave a comment on the video, hit the like button and all that crazy stuff. And I hope you guys enjoy it. I really do. It was so much fun to make and it took so long to edit just because I'm such a perfectionist when it comes to editing and stuff. That I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to put stuff out there that I don't think is good. So anyway, what happened in the previous issue of Ultimate Spider-Man issue 93? You can kind of tell the difference between the quality of Ultimate Spider-Man issue 93 and then something like the Venom saga back in Ultimate Spider-Man issue 36. So you're going to have like those downsides of having a long series because not every single issue can be really good, but you can just tell that this Deadpool saga is only like 4 issues long, so, or 3 issues long for that matter. Like, they can only squeeze so much out of it and not too much has happened yet. So yeah, we need to sort of get that action-y based sort of stuff into this, and that is exactly what Ultimate Spider-Man issue 94, which we are reviewing in this video, is about to do. Especially this is kind of gruesome, this one, like it's a bit more action-y, but there's also a lot of reveals in it and just some of it is really messed up. So yeah, like, prepare your eyes, honestly. And now, without any further ado, let's get into this review. So guys, Ultimate Spider-Man issue 94, let's go. Alright, so getting into the issue, we are opening up the first few pages, picking up from where the previous issue left off with Deadpool being unmasked and revealed to be Professor Xavier as Deadpool the entire time. And to be honest, quite surprisingly, the first few pages are actually my favourite part of this entire comic. Mainly because it shows off Spider-Man's spider sense, where he just straight up punches Professor X without even hesitating. And of course, it's all because Spider-Man's spider sense was going off, and so he knew better than everybody else. And so I find it really interesting that Spider-Man has reached that point. I know that we're like 90 odd issues in, but it's nice to see that Spider-Man is now trusting his spider sense and his instincts in situations like this. Because if you remember at the beginning of the Ultimate Spider-Man series, Spider-Man didn't really know what his spider sense was. He didn't really listen to it too much, and when he did, he kind of questioned it, whereas now, he just immediately understands his spider sense, and it's awesome. Now, moving throughout the issue, one of the things that actually did really take me by surprise was sort of how gruesome and graphical this comic sort of was. I mean, we just went past the part where Professor Xavier, like the real Professor Xavier, was being tortured, like his eyes were peeled open and he was being forced to watch the X-Men be murdered in front of his eyes, and it was all pretty gruesome. I mean, it was something like out of the Saw movies or something, and I felt like Brian Michael Bendis and Mark Bagley as the artist took a risk in doing something like that, especially in this Ultimate Spider-Man comic, mainly because it's Spider-Man. But I think this entire saga about Deadpool and how all of them have sort of given up a piece of themselves to become like these machines to take down the X-Men, it's quite a serious thing, and so I think that actually goes along with the storyline and the saga, and so I understand where that sort of torture part is coming from with Professor Xavier, but still, it really did take me by surprise because it was kind of awful. I mean, it was really bad, but it just added to the whole seriousness of the saga, and for that I actually praise it. Another good part of the issue was how it's shown off Kitty Pryde's badassness throughout this issue. As Spider-Man got shot out of a tree, Kitty Pryde went full on rage mode and just started cutting through all of these Ravagers and Deadpool's team and Deadpool himself, and just full on going crazy at them because obviously her boyfriend Spider-Man just got shot out of a tree and she literally just obliterates everybody there, and it's freaking awesome to see something like that, just to show off how powerful she truly could be when she uses her powers to her full potential. And it's kind of scary to think about what she could actually do if she full on went crazy. I mean, it's kind of scary. Anyway, as you can see on screen right now, we've got the unmasking of the real Deadpool, and you can see that this issue does not take any prisoners when it comes to really gruesome stuff such as Professor Xavier being tortured, and now Deadpool being unmasked and him actually having a transparent skull, like literally a see-through skull into his brain, and it's not only the rest of the Ravagers that had mechanical cybernetics to actually gain the upper hand on the X-Men, but Deadpool actually took it the most and actually went the most serious with it. And it's just awful to see what he truly looks like now. But as you could just see on screen right there, Deadpool just got obliterated and actually had a full-on implosion on himself. And you can see the blast radius of how big that explosion was, with Spider-Man and Kitty in the middle of it. Now luckily Kitty was there to face Spider-Man through that explosion, so he's okay. And we get this awesome shot of Cyclops stood there with his t-shirt torn up, and it is just crazy. And let's be honest, Cyclops looks like an absolute badass right there. I mean, the Ultimate X-Men, I haven't read the comics, but I'm sure they're awesome as well, just like Ultimate Spider-Man. And as we get through the issue, obviously the X-Men are getting closer and closer to the studio where this live stream is being held, and Professor Xavier actually gets free as the X-Men are coming to rescue him. And one thing that I like about this issue, it sort of explores the characters of the X-Men in a lot more detail, especially with this moment with Charles Xavier, where you never actually find out what happens to this character that was keeping Professor Xavier prisoner, but all you read about is a scream happening, and of course we don't really know what Professor Xavier did to him, but he tried murdering the X-Men, so Professor Xavier was not very happy about that, and I do not want to know what happened to that character because it was probably way too gruesome. But it was nice to see that Professor Xavier had that sort of dark side and protectiveness over his X-Men characters, enough to just do something to that character, and it was awesome. Now coming up to the final few pages of the issue, we're going back over to Kitty Pryde and Peter Parker being dropped off at the Peter Parker house with Aunt May inside. And of course Peter Parker doesn't really know what to do because he's been gone for a couple of days, and the only option he truly has left is for him to tell Aunt May that he is indeed Spider-Man. And as he goes in there, we discover that Aunt May isn't actually there anymore, and we get this massive revelation that Aunt May, of course, if you remember, Aunt May was actually on her way out to a date with a mystery person. And we later discover that it is the Miles Warren. Now, in case any of you guys don't know who Miles Warren is the villain known as the Jackal, and he is also responsible for the Spider-Man clone saga. Which means, of course, with his name being mentioned right now and him being introduced to the Ultimate Universe, that we're obviously going to get an Ultimate Spider-Man clone saga very, very soon. And it is one of my favourite sagas in the entire Ultimate Spider-Man series, and I cannot wait to review it for you guys. It is freaking amazing. But nonetheless, thank you guys for reading. I hope you enjoyed it. Okay, so didn't I say that this is probably one of the most gruesome issues so far in the Ultimate Spider-Man comics, just in terms of like Professor Xavier being tortured with his eyes? Ow, Jesus. Like, I thought that was crazy, and just the part where Deadpool was revealed to have actually gone so far to have like his entire skull removed, sort of thing, like it was just his skull in like a glass shell. It was really weird, and obviously the real Deadpool doesn't actually look like that. Like, this is the Ultimate Deadpool, so there are some differences, and that is one of them. And you can see that he's actually being modified in order to be able to take down the X-Men. Now, sadly, I don't actually think he appears in the Ultimate Spider-Man comics again after this, and I'm mentioning that because we did see Deadpool stood there at the end holding his mask, watching the X-Men and Spider-Man fly off the island. And so you would think that it'd be interesting for him to return maybe in like the New York City environment, but as far as I can remember, that doesn't happen in the Ultimate Spider-Man comics. At least it probably happens in the Ultimate X-Men comics, which I haven't really read, so I can't comment on that. As for the overall issue, I thought the action was actually really well spread out. Like, the Deadpool characters and all of obviously like his team, or I can never remember their team, but I think they're called the Reavers, if I can remember. Like, I've completely forgot the name, but yeah, him and his team going after Spider-Man and the X-Men, it was really well done. And the part where Spider-Man trusted his spider sense when Deadpool was revealed to be Professor Xavier, I just love how Spider-Man's learned to sort of trust his instincts, because if you remember at the beginning of the Ultimate Spider-Man comics, Peter didn't really know what that buzzing sort of thing was in his head, and now he knows that it's his spider sense and he trusts it, and it's never really done him any wrong before. So that was awesome that like he knew full well that it wasn't Professor Xavier, enough to just punch him in the face. And obviously all the X-Men freaked out, but they eventually trusted Spider-Man, and it was cool. One of the characters that I wish I saw a little bit more in this comic was Cyclops. I mean, he's actually one of my favourite X-Men characters. I mean, he's got beams that come out of his eyes, for crying out loud. So it's really awesome, and I just love the badass return that he had with Jean Grey, where he had like all his clothes ripped, and it really looked like he had been through the wars of the island, getting back to his team of the X-Men, and he returned at just the right moment. It was amazing, and especially the part where Spider-Man actually got shot down out of the tree, And Kitty Pryde went full on like crazy at all of these guys. I mean, I don't know why she didn't do that just at first, like phase through more, because they're all machinery, but you know, like, got to have a big part of the comic somewhere, haven't you? Like a big action scene, so that was it, and it was good. Moving on to the score of the comic, I'm actually going to give this issue a 9 out of 10. I thought there was some really good reviews, especially with Deadpool, and that really gruesome part with Charles Xavier with his eyes open, like that was awful to see. It was like a torture scene, and obviously it was a torture scene, but I didn't really think that they'd have it in the Ultimate Spider-Man comics. I also forgot to mention that Aunt May is actually with Miles Warren. How did I forget to mention that? She went on a date with Miles Warren. And one of the most important things to mention, guys, is that the next saga is Morbius the Vampire, but the saga after that is the Clone Saga. Like, Miles Warren is the Jackal who actually causes the Clone Saga in the first place. So it's crazy that Miles Warren is entering these Ultimate Spider-Man comics, and the Clone Saga is one of the best sagas, in my opinion, in the Ultimate Spider-Man comics, so I'm really looking forward to that. But guys, what do you think of Miles Warren in this comic? What did you think of that reveal that Aunt May is actually dating Miles Warren? It's crazy. So yeah, let me know about that, because I'm actually really interested to hear your thoughts on that. But that is the end of the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this comic review and you want more, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button on this video. Obviously, I have my subscribe pillow right here, so yeah. Don't forget to check out the new video on my second YouTube channel. The link is in the description, and of course it's on one of these cards or whatever it is. So yeah, go check it out. Please let me know what you think of it. And of course, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you guys in the next one. See you later.